Welcome to the Other Star franchise, the anti-fascist Star Wars podcast, where a couple of Trekkies from the Star Trek fandom discuss Star Wars. We are about to watch all of the thing in chronological order. We just got started. We're trying to work our way up to that Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out in May, so we picked up with The Acolyte. That's what we're going to be discussing today. We watched all 8 episodes of The Acolyte. These are episodes that take place between the years 148 BBY and 132 BBY. So this is kind of our the first chapter of our chronological watch, right? We've done one episode of the show previous to this, in which we just talked about what we were going to be doing, which is watching the Star Wars shows, movies, and animations in the chronological order building up to the release of the new movie. But so far, it's just been The Acolyte. So, well, I'm Fatheree. This is Miss Taylor. Miss Taylor, how are you doing today?
Pretty good.
So, Acolyte. Where do we begin? What was, I guess, the big thing was that neither one of us had seen this show before. So, a lot of the Star Wars shows and movies that we'll end up discussing on this show on hashtag the Other Star franchise are going to be things that we're rewatching. Some of them are things we've seen many, many times, but the two big exceptions are going to be the first show we watched, The Acolyte, we just watched it, and then the last show we watch before The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
We have not seen Skeleton Crew, please don't spoil it. But we have now seen The Acolyte. We were a little late to the party. I saw that this was... I couldn't remember exactly when it came out. So just Taylor, off the top of your head, do you remember when The Acolyte came out on Disney+?
No,
if you had to guess, what year?
I would guess 2022 or maybe 2023.
2024, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's not that long ago. And then in my memory, it was only recently after that they announced that there would be no second season. Mm. But I guess they didn't really announce that until last year in 2025. Or maybe that was like late 2024. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting my years mixed up. I remember it was August of some year, either August of 24 or August of 25. I don't know. Maybe it was 24. I don't know. But basically, it was a show that I had not watched simply because I knew that it was going to be a prequel to the prequels. I'm someone who I never got into the Old Republic stuff back when that was the very popular video game series, and they made some other media around that, but I never cared about like that other era of the Star Wars universe as much. I focus on the time periods that, we have the Rebellion and the Empire, and then I guess maybe like the lead up to that and the aftermath of that. But like the ancient history of the Jedi Order never appealed to me. And I knew this show was going to be set not quite that old. They've come up with this thing called the High Republic, which instead of being 1,000 years earlier, it's only 100 years earlier. But it just never seemed like a big priority to me because it's like, I don't really care about ancient Jedi stuff. That's not what I watch Star Wars for. And I heard a lot of mixed things about it, when it was coming out, if it was good, if it was bad. But I try to stay out of the Star Wars discourse. A lot of times I am late to the party. I don't want to get spoilers for things, and just there's a lot of toxic elements of the Star Wars fandom that it's life is a lot nicer when you just don't listen to any of those people and just ignore them. When I decided that we were going to watch The Acolyte for this rewatch project we're doing, I guess I was real curious to see what my reactions would be. But what about you? Like, why had you never gotten around to The Acolyte previously?
When it came out in 2024?
Yeah.
We were watching Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, that was the year
No way.
That was the year that we watched almost all of the... It was like we started in January of 2024 and we ended in January of 2025. So you didn't...
Yeah.
We watched all of Star Trek in a single calendar year. But,
right, just not the same year number.
Yeah, I mean by like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So sorry that I delayed your Acolyte viewing for so long.
It's okay. I didn't see anything about it that really struck my fancy whenever it was being promoted and stuff. I didn't feel drawn to it. I was kind of actually hoping it would be even older than it was. I think originally I thought it would be like thousands of years older. When it was like the Acolyte, I guess I was thinking like super, super ancient. And then whenever we saw the first beginning of the Acolyte opening or whatever, I was like, this is still pretty...
It was like 100 years before the Empire.
Yeah, pretty recent. I was thinking that it wasn't old enough for me, which is kind of funny to hear you say, like, that you weren't into it because it was so...
Well, okay, the reason why is because the Old Republic, so the reason why they set that back so anciently is because they want to have, like, the big Jedi versus Sith battles when there's, like, before the rule of two with the Sith. Here's the Star Wars lore. But before the Sith came up with the rule of two, where he's like Yoda says in The Phantom Menace, always two there are, no more, no less, a master and an apprentice. Before that, there used to be a shitload of Sith. Like, there was a shitload of Jedi. There were, like, thousands of both. And they would have, like, these massive battles. And I don't know. I get maybe that's cool for a video game. But it didn't sound like an interesting show to me. It's like, okay, I know a lot of people come to Star Wars for the lightsaber porn. They just want... And that is the way they promoted the Acolyte. I remember seeing, like, the trailers and stuff. I probably never saw a trailer to it on purpose, but just you and I would, like, scroll past a video online on social media. And, like, I would still get glimpses of, like, Jedi waving lightsabers around and stuff. So I was like, yeah, that looks Old Republic-y to me. But... When I actually sat down and watched it, it made me realize, like, oh, this actually ties more into the Star Wars stuff I'm interested in more than I would have thought. But let's should we just dive on in, or should I pull up the spreadsheet, or what do we want to do for as I said last week when we were starting the show, this is a very loosey-goosey format, very different from how we run the TEX-TREK show, where we talk about Star Trek. Mm-hmm. But this is the Other Star franchise, where we talk about the Other Star franchise, and we do a little bit more flying by the seat of our pants over here. But we also get attacked by our animals mid-show, so the cat is scratching at my chair right now, which you might hear, because we also don't do any editing on this show. That's just how we roll on the Other Star franchise. But I'm going to pull up our spreadsheet for people who can see us. For the people just listening, I'll describe what we're looking at. But the first 8 episodes of The Acolyte, like I said, these episodes take place between the years 132 BBY and 148 BBY. So, for people who don't know, that means before the Battle of Yavin. In other words, before the first Star Wars movie. And it occurred to me when I was making this spreadsheet that, we're going to ruin our Star Wars chronological watch right off the bat with the first show, because The Acolyte has 2 flashback episodes that take place 16 years before all the others. And we didn't watch those first, so we technically did not do it in chronological order, and now we can't. We've already started incorrectly. So.
But I think with the context of the show,
yes,
having seen it for the first time, you gotta watch it in order.
And technically, okay, here's my loophole. The opening of both those episodes start off with the text 16 years ago. So technically those are episodes meant to be thought of in the year 132 BBY, but with a flashback in the narrative to 148.
So many loopholes.
But I don't know. Where do you want to start with the Acolyte? Talking about this show, I guess. Just what was your general reaction to seeing it for the first time?
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of a hard time getting into it. I wasn't really drawn in until maybe halfway through, and then I think it was a little bit stereotypical. I feel like I called it very quickly that she was a twin, and that there was going to be, I guess, this like space chase kind of thing, and the Jedi probably fucked up somewhere over there at her planet and she doesn't know about it. Like, I felt like all of that was very unoriginal to the Acolyte, like it felt very tropey to me. especially heavy with Star Wars specific tropes. So,
What were some of those tropes?
like the twin thing.
Yeah, we've seen twins
And-
before. You're too old to be trained.
Yeah.
She's 8 years old. Anakin, I believe, is 9 in the Phantom Menace. So,
And like we get a lot of in the Clone Wars and in some of the, I think it's the Tales of the Jedi maybe, where they're like the Jedi are taking kids to train. So I feel like that's been done a lot, and it's kind of weird and in the Acolyte, you know. I think a lot of it is like the Jedi putting their nose into situations they probably shouldn't, and I think that's overdone. I mean, I think it's fine.
is it?
I think it does.
Like, how often does that happen?
In the Clone Wars and like in, I don't know. I think it happens quite frequently.
Because, okay, here is my thing watching The Acolyte. Like I was saying, like, it's not really like an era of Star Wars or like a type of Star Wars story that I'm super interested in. And part of that is just me being kind of one of those classic original trilogy purists, which, you know, I admit a lot of us can be jerks about that. Not to be too gatekeepery, but yeah, like I'm of like that generation that remembers when it was only 3 movies, and I'm one of the ones who I kind of miss those days. So I did take note, though, when Disney took over Star Wars, and the first thing they did was ignore the prequels for a long time. And sorry, I'm being scratched by a cat. Can he go away? I don't want him next to us right now. He's being violent.
Violent. He was being sweet.
Well, you're not the one who was scratching. Sorry to interrupt. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You're talking. Stop. Oh, okay. I'll get rid of him.
Thank you.
He's so heavy. It's hard to get rid of him.
Yeah, he's a massive cat. Tuck's the cat, everyone.
Oh, anyways, so you were thinking it's very prequel-y.
Oh, yes. Okay, so what I remembered when Disney took over Star Wars, they were kind of like ignoring the prequels. It kind of like tricked people like me to get back into Star Wars. And it worked.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm here. But, you know, like The Force Awakens, they kind of ignore everything from the prequels. And they're just like, let's really lean into the original trilogy aesthetic and just like those types of characters and those types of settings and almost like that kind of like cinematography and production design and that look to things. And then I watched The Acolyte and I'm like, oh, this is almost like that same type of original trilogy appeasement they were doing to me, but this is like prequel appeasement. It's like, let's just go into like the lean super hard into like the Jedi Order at their height of power, and you know, like they're big players in the galaxy. There's a lot of them, but like maybe they do make mistakes and maybe they do overstep. And an idea that I think the prequels talked about but never could be real clear, and I felt like George Lucas couldn't make up his mind at what he wanted to do. But, you know, they would kind of talk about like, oh yeah, like the Jedi kind of suck now. We're kind of on the decline. We've kind of had like these faults that have kind of become a bigger problem. And, you know, you'd get like these weird lines of dialogues where Yoda would just be like, oh yeah, like the Jedi these days, too confident they are. And just, you know, like, oh, we're getting too involved with the Senate and stuff like that. But I felt like George Lucas always struggled because he didn't want to show the Jedi be the bad guys. He didn't want to show them like doing anything wrong. But he also wanted to highlight these fatal flaws that they have that, you know, become their undoing. And I felt like he was so inconsistent that it never really works in those movies, and it kind of depends on, you know, the books and the cartoons and other things to kind of like get those points across. But I feel like The Acolyte was actually like telling the story George Lucas tried to tell in the prequels with the Jedi, but doing a better job of it and actually being like a little bit more clear. And I also think it kind of leaned into, you know, as like, hey, it's kind of like this, you know, boring dialogue and this, you know, very like, kind of awkward way of blocking scenes for the directors, but, you know, good, cool designs. I like the spaceships, and then, you know, a lot of it was shot very like claustrophobically and kind of like cheaply, but then they would go to like these really beautiful locations. It's like, oh yeah, like this show does have a budget, it's just kind of shot weird. And then I was like, it's kind of written and shot like how George Lucas wrote and shot the prequel. So to me, it's like, man, The Acolyte was them trying to, you know, they were like, here, we're going to make like something really prequel-y for you prequel lovers. We'll make a prequel to the prequels. And so I thought, like, you know, I know Star Wars fans tend to be extremely irrational when it comes to new shows and movies. But I was thinking, like, man, if you're into the prequels and you're into like Clone Wars, then you have to like the Acolyte, because it's just doing a lot of those kinds of things, but better, in my opinion. So it's like, to me, it makes sense for me not to be super into it, but it baffles me. I kind of poked around online the last couple of days to see what the reactions of the Acolyte were, and it's like that show gets a lot of hate. There are people who like it, but it was very divisive, and the people who like it seem to be, like the younger Star Wars fans who I think really like appreciated the diversity of the cast.
I was just thinking that. I was thinking it has a very diverse cast and like very women led, like Endara and also Osha, May, and the whole coven at I forget the planet's name, but where they were born. So I don't know. I think it was pretty well written. I think parts of it did get kind of boring for me, but I don't think any of it was like necessarily bad. I definitely feel like they were expecting another season like to be picked up.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a downfall. I think you should always write your season to be complete. I mean, I guess it's kind of complete, but like it does feel like there's still a lot of loose threads.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's incredibly incomplete. Like it ends with like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the like
Yoda?
And then like before that, it was like the master, the stranger, whatever he's called.
In the shadows.
But he was going to train Osha. So, and like they show, we get like that glimpse of Yoda, we get like that glimpse of Darth Plagueis. Mm-hmm. You're like, who is that? And I'm like, oh, that's got to be Darth Plagueis, right?
Guess.
So, for people who don't know about Darth Plagueis, he is the guy who trained Darth Sidious. They talk about like Darth Plagueis the Wise in Revenge of the Sith.
He stabbed him in his sleep, right?
Yeah, I never read the book Darth Plagueis.
I don't think I did either.
But it's it was before like the Disney takeover, so it's considered Legends. It's not canon. And at that time, I was one of the world's biggest prequel haters, and I was like baffled online. I'd be like, man, like so many people seem to love this book, but like how good could it be? It's like dumb prequel stuff, right? But I knew that in that book, they established Darth Plagueis as the same species as those banking clan guys that we see in Attack of the Clones. They have like the really
tall hat,
the long skinny heads.
Oh, it's a part of their head.
Yeah.
Why did I always think it was a hat? But yeah, they're kind of like bluish green or something, right?
No,
No.
They're gray. You're thinking of someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, the banking clan. Are you thinking of the Troid Federation? Are you thinking of the Nemoidians?
I think I am.
Yeah, no, the banking clan, not the Trade Federation.
Refresh. But
we'll see them in Attack of the... There are some Trade Federation Nemoidians in this episode. In the first episode, remember? When,
Don't do this to me.
Don't do what?
I don't remember.
You don't remember the first episode of The Acolyte?
No, I remember
We just watched it Friday.
I remember the episode, but I don't remember background characters.
They weren't background. They had, like, dialogue. Like,
Oh, God.
She worked for them.
Oh, my face is red. I can feel it.
The ship...
I'm embarrassed.
Oh, sorry. The ship that they're on, though, that first episode, when there's like the fire in space,
and they're like, "Oh, we don't have a Jedi here."
They were like, "We don't have mechanics."
Oh, that's right.
Because, which I think was something new this show introduced to Star Wars. But instead of having an astromech repair the outside of you see that in the Phantom Menace too, when like the Queen's ship gets shot at by the Trade Federation, and they send the astromechs out to do repairs, and I think they all get blown off, but R2.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So, but instead of that, the Trade Federation used humans to go out and do dangerous repairs in this first episode of The Acolyte. The first episode, Lost and Found, which was also what I was talking about, where you have like the fire in space, which when I saw that, I was like, oh, I wonder if people complained about that on the internet, because it's kind of weird for there to be fire in space.
Yeah.
But it's like Star Wars physics are really weird anyways. So I was like, well, yeah.
That's something we kind of talked about this week. I was kind of disappointed in the Acolyte because I wanted almost like a way different tech, like less... Like, I felt like I wanted to see more of the tech growth from this to, like, the prequels and also the original trilogy. And I feel like the tech is pretty much the same.
And that's a Star Wars thing, is that like technology has been stagnant for thousands of years.
Yeah, and so I think That, I think, is a big difference between, like, Star Wars and Star Trek, is we always see that being a really big change, like, through seasons to seasons, and they're having discoveries, and it's all about science and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Star Wars, it's like, oh, they still have the same droids for,
Although,
like, hundreds and centuries, it feels like. So.
Although, like, having, like, the Jedi do, like, a survey mission, that did feel very Star Trek. Because the reason why the Jedi cross paths with Osha and May's Witch Coven family is because they're studying this planet. They believe it's a vergence in the Force, which they use that line, vergence. That's how Qui-Gon described Anakin. He's a vergence in the Force, which was also another example of, like, the...
prequel.
Well, and like, the, like, virgin birth they did with
literally
Anakin.
Sounds the same.
And then here, you know, it's the, you know, the witches, I guess, doing, like magic stuff with the Force, which... Having witches in the show, you know, that's something that Star Wars has done before. There's the Night Sisters in Clone Wars. But I was curious how people reacted to that. So I guess that was another big controversy around this show, is that a lot of the asshole Star Wars fans were mad that there was a lesbian witch cult or lesbian space cult or whatever. I saw, like, these, like, buzzwords thrown around.
Interesting.
But it's, like, not the first time Star Wars has done witches. So, in fact, there is a witch in the Battle of Endor movie with the Ewoks from the 1980s. And I think the Ewok cartoon, too. So, and remember when Coyote-Mundi has like that blink and you miss it cameo, the Conehead Jedi?
Yeah.
I guess that also pissed people off that he was in that.
Really?
Yeah. Which I was like, oh, that's, you know, kind of weird that he's so long-lived, but I kind of like, you know, I like that more than, like, C-3PO and R2-D2 showing up in Rogue One for no reason.
I guess this is the first thing that they haven't showed up in.
There's a lot of shows they haven't been in, right?
I think that...
They're not in Andor.
Okay.
They're not in I don't think they're in that animated show Resistance.
Okay.
But
yeah, it does feel a little bit like they're in everything. I feel like.
But yeah, like I like them not being shoehorned in here. It was funny. I was thinking about Yoda, and before we watched the show, I should have said this previously just to have it on record. But I was thinking Yoda would be mentioned but not seen, because I thought, okay, if Yoda shows up in this show, I probably would have seen, like, screenshots of that. It would have been spoiled for me for years. So I was thinking, like, okay, we're not going to see Yoda, but I bet they mention him. Because, of course, he would be around. He said, for 800 years, I've trained Jedi.
Yeah.
But I thought the Jedi characters in this show, I actually thought they were likable. But I was thinking in my mind, I was like, oh, like, they're kind of boring Jedi, like how George Lucas wrote boring Jedi. But I found there was enough character there. Like, I liked Yord, that was his name, right? And what was the girl? Jecki. Yeah, I thought both of them, like, you know, Yord, I kind of thought, like, oh, he's kind of like that class. He's like a knight, you know. He's like he's like the dedicated do-gooder, you know. He has, like, this earnest desire to do good, and, like, sometimes that'll make him kind of an asshole, but, you know, like, he's always trying to do the right thing, you know. He's like kind of like an Arthurian knight of the Round Table, you know, like I must do the most noble deed at all times, you know, kind of that kind of guy. And then yeah, I thought, like, the kid was very mature. It's like, oh yeah, like she surprised me in a few scenes, and so when they died, you know, I was like, I don't know if I was, like, super attached, but, like, I cared.
Yeah.
The main Jedi guy, Soul. I think he was the best part of this, though. He was a really good performance from a Korean actor from Squid Games, which I've not seen, but
that's really good. It was actually funny. We were watching it the whole time. I was like, man, this really looks like that guy from Squid Games, but I didn't know 100%, and I was really surprised at the end because the role is so crazy different. Which is actually a huge difference, too, for the other character we know. The guy
from
who
The
plays,
Good Place, yeah.
Who, Manny Jacinto, I think, is his real name.
But he ended up, I think he's just called, like, the Stranger.
Yeah.
But he kind of plays 3 different characters, because, he's got to be, when he's undercover, and he's kind of, like, strung out on drugs.
Yeah.
And, he's very believable as just, like, this doofusy type guy. And then, he's got to be, like, the... kind of like the stereotypical, like Star Wars bad guy who just like stands around in a helmet and a robe. And I guess that's probably the easiest part to play because you just have to stand there. But then when he plays the kind of, he's kind of like a seductive master, when he's trying to like tempt these girls to, he's trying to like get them like come under his wing and like let, come be my acolyte. Come, I can take you great places, kid.
Yeah.
That's something they talk about in Star Wars a lot, is that seduction side of the dark side. I feel like he brought that to life.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
And not like he wasn't like in a creepy way. It was like kind of like you could kind of see like their temptation to go off with them.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely has that like I have anger, you have anger, like let's work through it together almost instead of pretend it doesn't exist or forgive and whatever. Like let's work on. It's almost like that. The main difference is giving into your feelings versus being stoic and like letting things go. But like it's almost
the George Lucas-y thing with the Force is that like the light side and Jedi like they think about others and they don't think about themselves at all. And then like the dark side is like you only think about yourself. And like you see that like when he asks Osha like towards the end of the show when he's bringing her to his side and like when he asks her like, well, what do you want? And it's like that's the dark side way to think about everything is just like, well, what about me? What do I get? Yeah.
I thought some of it was unbelievable. Like I actually don't really feel like Osha had a good enough reason to become the acolyte for him. Like I don't know if I can explain this very well, but I felt like she was close to Jecki and Yord, and he killed them in front of her. And then, like, the reason that she turns on the Jedi is because she's mad that her mom was killed by Sol. And, like, all of her family exploded or whatever. They got unalived by, like, the fire that May set or whatever. And I think it's odd that she wasn't okay with those deaths, right? Because she was close with them. But she also was close to Yord and Jecki. But she was okay that he had killed them. You know what I mean? Like, it would be hard for me to be like, oh, but why would I go with you when you've killed
What was to save her
friends?
sister? It was to save May. Like, that's why she did it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't feel like it was a good enough reason.
But I don't know, maybe she's thinking, like, I'll eventually be able to defeat this guy. My headcanon is that Darth Plagueis kills both of them. My headcanon is that he's a fake Sith. He's like a Sith wannabe. Mm-hmm. And either that, or he's like Darth Plagueis' apprentice before Palpatine. And, but Plagueis sees him training this acolyte. And so he's like, I'm just going to kill both of them and start over. I'm going to find me this kid Palpatine on Naboo, and I'm going to train him to take over the whole galaxy.
I mean, some of them get away, Like, Maul kind of got away. I guess he wasn't really the apprentice, though. He was kind of an extra Sith.
Well...
A Sith intern.
Yeah, it's like he was an acolyte. It's like the Sith can have apprentices, and then they can have acolytes, and then you have, like... a Sith-trained assassin, like Asajj Ventress. Then you get to the Empire, and then you have, like, oh, now we have all of these Sith, all of the, what do you call them? The Jedi Hunters. Like, Sarah Michelle Gellar voices one in Rebels.
The Inquisitors.
Inquisitors, yeah. You get the Inquisitors. So I kind of feel like they're just kind of the official government-approved version of a Sith acolyte. But, I don't know, maybe the Sith, they can have, they can have multiple people they're training, but there can only be one who's labeled the master and one who's labeled the apprentice, and everyone else is just kind of a pick-me competing to be the next apprentice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those were things that I feel like they would have gotten into in season 2. But That's one thing that a lot of people bitch about this show about. Is they're like, it breaks the continuity, it ruins the canon of Star Wars. It's
Not
like,
at all.
it's like Jesus Christ, like we have to worry about this in the Star Trek side of things. Like I didn't realize like people in Star Wars would be this uptight about that. So like, I mean, I feel like the prequels kind of break some things.
Yeah,
but,
I would argue the prequels break more than the Acolyte. Like the Acolyte's so far ahead of the, that there's so much time in between for things to change and people to die or go different ways. Like it can all I don't understand like what they're upset about.
Well, one of the things was Coyote-Mundi being so old, even though the books had established his birth year, and they were very mad that Wikipedia had to go update Coyote-Mundi's birth year to match the show. Was I guess one controversy. Another thing was the reveal of a Sith. Coyote-Mundi himself, and the Phantom Menace. When Qui-Gon is like, hey, I think I just got attacked by a Sith on Tatooine. And Coyote-Mundi is like, no way, bro. The Sith have been extinct for a millennia. And that's a weird thing. Like, how does Yoda know that the Sith, there can only be two, a master and an apprentice, but they also think they've been extinct for millennia? It's like, how do y'all know how many there are if they've all been, like, hiding?
Yeah.
But, and they kind of address that in the show, though, when he, a bad guy with the helmet, Stranger, whatever we're calling him, when he reveals himself to Soul, and he says, I'm what a Jedi like you would maybe call a Sith, or what you might call a Sith.
Yeah.
So he doesn't come out and say it outright. And then Soul's like, well, why would you reveal yourself to me? But, I mean, like, all the people who see him and fight him, like, they all die. Or May gets her memory erased.
Right.
So it's like they were trying to play, like, keep the continuity intact as they were watching this. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, at the end, is okay, if Plagueis trained the Master, and then like the Master is training Osha and sometimes May, but then sometimes Osha, it looks like it's goes back and forth. Who knows if this show had gone on for like season 2, what would have happened with that? But I don't know. Maybe the two of them together would have killed the Stranger, and then they would have like gone off and been like, okay, we're gonna go do our own thing.
That's what I was hoping for with the end of season 1.
And Plagueis just like watches all of it, and he's just like, well, I guess I'm gonna go train Palpatine now.
Yeah. I guess that's like what I was trying to say earlier, is like when she chose to go with him. I'm like, there's some other options than just wiping May's memory, and like, I don't know. I think also like their situation is very specific, and they definitely could have had a different workaround with like the Jedi Council and stuff. I don't know. But I don't know. I just think it was weird. I think also it's weird that they stayed separated and like they don't get to stay together. And I really thought that they would just somehow banish everybody off the planet and they would live there forever and train each other on what they've learned. But yeah, I think it was kind of odd to split them up at the end. But again, like if you're writing the show,
yeah, they're not thinking. They weren't thinking that's the end. They're thinking like this will be like our halfway point, or our who knows? Maybe they were going to do like 3 or 4 seasons was the plan. Oh, that was another thing. Is I looked up who made this. So it's the first time ever that Star Wars had a queer woman showrunner. Oh. So I think that's also a big part of like why people bitched about it.
Oh. Just they don't like that.
Yeah, like people hear that and they're like, "Oh my god, this show is gonna push an agenda on me."
Oh.
And so if I watch this show, it's gonna turn me into a lesbian. Oh no! Yeah, very very odd. But that definitely, I think that definitely was probably a fact. So I went on Rotten Tomatoes and like the critics gave this show like it's like 81%, which cool. People who don't know how to use Rotten Tomatoes sometimes they look at those numbers and they're like, I don't agree with that. It's like. Well, what that is actually telling you is that 81% of critics gave it a positive review. 19% didn't. In other words, like 4 out of 5 critics who wrote reviews on this wrote something positive. 1 out of 5 wrote something negative.
Right.
Like that's set in stone. That's what that 81% is. Like you can't you can agree with that or disagree with it, but like you sound like you don't understand it. It's not a grade. It's not a grade of like 81% out of 100% is a perfect movie, and it's
right.
Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 81. Like
it's not
what
stars.
That means.
It's not a 5-star movie or whatever. Like like on some shows they have like ratings, like public ratings. It's not like that.
Yeah, or like any like newspaper that has like movie reviews, they'll have like their own grading system or whatever. Yeah, most of them use stars. But whatever. But the audience vote on it was like 10% or something. It was
Wow.
like, so I was like, okay, so it got review bombed.
Yeah.
But, it also kind of frustrates me when you have like these shows that are trying really hard to be like, to be progressive and really like push representation, and like a Doctor Who is a great example when they're like, okay, we're gonna have like the first woman Doctor, and I'm like, great, and then it was like some of like the worst written Doctor Who I've ever seen. I'm like, I am very disappointed in you writers. Like I feel like we're obligated to do like a good job, and I'm sure y'all tried, but what you turned in was dog shit. It was like some of the worst Doctor Who episodes. I've seen some bad Doctor Who, but the Chris Chibnall era is hard to beat. But yeah, I feel like the Acolyte was like way better than that. It was I feel like the Acolyte was like honestly like a pretty decent show at what it was doing. It just was not the type of Star Wars I'm super interested in. There were like some weird things though, like Basil, the
Oh yeah, the tracker.
I don't know if maybe he was gonna have like a bigger role in, or some big reveal in season 2. But like a lot of his behaviors, I had like no idea what was going. Like when he started like attacking attacking May, when he like sniffed out that she was May and not Osha. But then like, why doesn't he just go tell Sol? And then later when he's like trying to tear up Sol's ship, when he's trying to chase May's ship, you remember that when he's like sabotage it? It's like I didn't really understand his motivations and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe he was going to be revealed to be like a double agent or something in season 2 or something like that. But there's two things I want to highlight on. Just like the other actor who I recognized from other stuff that I was happy to see was Carrie Ann Moss from The Matrix.
Oh yeah.
And when the show opened with her in this big Jedi battle, I was like, oh, it's kind of like a Matrixy fight when like she like runs up the wall a little bit. I was kind of like, I like the Eastern influence that's in the Matrix, but also is like in Star Wars, and they definitely like lean into like the martial arts and stuff. And I think a bit too much in the show. There were a couple times I'm like, hey, I'm pretty sure these people have lightsabers. Why are they doing kicks and martial art, like karate chops and flips and stuff? I was like, y'all can just like pop them sabers out, yo. But I liked how Carrie Ann Moss in that first fight, she's like, she kind of waits to pull the saber out though, because it's like, okay, yeah, I like a Jedi who they use that as a last resort. And I was thinking, oh, she's gonna be like the main character of the show, I guess, right? The show opens with her, and then she dies, right off the bat. So that kind of caught me off guard. I was like, oh, I don't know where this is going. That's nice. And then the show became kind of a detective story. And it was like, like the Jedi performing this investigation, and I liked that. Like I think that'd be kind of a cool show if you did like a series of like these Jedi who like they go on missions like that, and yeah, maybe sometimes it'll be this kind of like murder mystery type thing, and it's like, and then the reveal of like, this other girl who looks just like that other person. They're played by the same actor, but they're twins, but then they're not twins. But like, I didn't know any of that stuff was going to happen. So, but I don't know. What about you? What do you thought like a lot of the mystery was predictable? Like, I remember it was like what episode was it? I might have wrote it down. Oh, it was in episode 4. Yeah, so halfway through. Episode 4 was when you figured out, it's like, okay, I think I know who's under that helmet.
Oh yeah, I didn't feel like that was a big reveal either. I think,
I don't know if I would have caught it that early unless you had pointed it out to me.
Man, I have a problem because I think I understand the pacing of things too well, and so it's hard to surprise me with something unless you're introducing a new character. But I kind of had assumed that it was going to be someone we already had met through all of the first 4 episodes, and he was the only one that made sense because he was around May, and he was like kind of leading her along, like not leading her along, but he was like there to influence.
Yeah.
And he was like kind of manipulative, but he felt like, I think also like his like goofy behavior had a big red flag to me, because I was like, if I wanted someone to not be suspicious of me, I would act dumb, right? And like, or like to be less likely, I guess, I don't know. But I just had a feeling it was already someone we knew.
Yeah, and like, who else did we know could it have been? Like, I was thinking like, Yord might have been
Yeah.
a possible suspect.
He was too goody-goody, I think. He was ruled out pretty quick for me. Just because of, like, he was so, like, I think you said earlier, like, knight in shining armor kind of vibe. Like, oh, knight, right? Like, someone who's very high moral.
Yeah, but maybe that's an
like,
act.
high ground.
Like,
I don't know. It seemed pretty real to me when he was kind of being an ass to Osha, you know?
You're right. Like, if someone is trying to play the good guy to be, like, undercover, they wouldn't be, like, the good guy being kind of a jerk. They would be, like, a nice good guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he was being
He
was being too himself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't really know, like, who else. Like, there weren't many, like, options or, like, any, like, red herrings or anything.
That's why I figured it out so quick, was because there wasn't a lot of options. Like I said, unless it was going to be, like, some random person that we were going to be introduced to, but I felt like that was unlikely.
I predicted Jackie was going to die, though.
You did. I was in deep denial.
When she forgave Osha so quickly, and I was like, oh, this kid is, like, super mature and likable. She's probably going to die.
Yeah, that didn't even float across my brain, because I was like, no, I don't want her to die. And I was shocked when she did. That was probably the most surprising thing, I think, for me, when she got struck down.
And we had a Wookiee Jedi in this show, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah. I liked the Wookiee being mind-controlled by the witches and, like, having to fight Soul and the Padawan.
So that made for, like, a kind of a cool action set piece. The weird thing about that to me is that the Wookiee is still, you know, like, growling and making Chewbacca noises and stuff, but, like, that's a language. That's like a Kashyyyk language, like the Wookiees speak. So it's like, oh, like the Wookiee is like talking.
Well, is it though? Because like whenever they're fighting, like some people are grunting and like ha.
But sometimes like Chewbacca would make those exact same sound effects, and then Han Solo would be like, "I know what you mean, buddy. Tell me about it."
Maybe he also agreed with the grunting. I don't know.
So, yeah, it was weird. I would have just had, like, the Wookiee be silent during all of that. And the Wookiee used their claws, which is, that's actually... So, I don't know if you've heard of this. Have you ever heard of a Mad Claw?
I don't think so.
So, in Wookiee culture, it's very taboo to use your claws against a living thing. Oh. And if you do, you're labeled a Mad Claw and you're banished.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're like, that's too primitive for us?
Yeah, it's just, like, it's considered, like, extremely, like... bad taste to kill with your claws.
Interesting.
Yeah. What else?
I think it was interesting that obviously this group that went to this planet had a terrible time, invaded, did bad things, ruined the whole witch plan. But I think it was interesting how we did get to see all of those Jedi, like, their consequences. I don't even know if that's right, because I feel like some of them were self-inflicted consequence. Like, we did see Kelnaka and the Padawan in isolation, kind of.
And Kelnaka and Torben,
yeah,
they had both been... They'd had the witches in their heads. So I think that, you know, like, Torben just becoming, like, a silent monk. And also, you know, with Kelnaka was, like, drawing those spirals. And so I think it's, like, yeah, like, it really messed up their heads.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it was cool to see how they did, like, there was such a difference between how Soul and Endara reacted, you know? Like, they kind of just went along with business as per usual, which I think is an interesting... It's like 50% of the team did one thing and 50% did the other. So it's kind of...
What do you think of Endara as a Jedi, just, like, overall? Like, did you like her? Did you not like her?
I don't know. I think I was a little disappointed with a lot of the decisions she made in the last little bit, especially, like, in the flashback stuff, where... I don't know, like when...
She was very by the book. She was like, well, I have to wait on the council to tell us what to do and stuff. Like, it reminded me in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Captain J.T. Esteban on the USS Grissom that gets blown up by the Klingons.
Yeah, I actually didn't really mind her following the rules so much. What made me upset is when she started having cover-ups. But then, like, we also saw that at the end of the Acolyte, the other lady was doing cover-ups, right? And lying and said it was all Soul's fault, whatever. Or not Soul's fault.
Right.
But
Bald-headed green Jedi woman who I found out is married to the showrunner of the show.
oh, okay.
And the character that she plays appears in a lot of the High Republic books. So... the things I predicted that turned out to be true was that the master was her apprentice, and that's why she was like so freaked out about hiding all of this. And also the death of Jecki that we already talked about. But just the things that we're talking about just kind of reminded me, like there were a few too many plot conveniences where something. Like, I think the writing was mostly solid, except for like the occasional plot conveniences, like when. Tobin was like, oh, these twins can prove there's a vergence in the Force, then we can go home to Coruscant. I'm just going to disobey what all of you are telling me right now. Hop on this speeder bike, zoom over there, grab those kids, and then we can go home, because I'm a moron.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that was stupid. I thought, like, Soul taking way too long to realize it was May and not Osha with him, like, after the switch. I was like, dude, Osha was your apprentice for years. Like, y'all, like, lived together and worked together for years. Like, you would probably be able to sense this was a different person.
But they do mention that they are the same. So
Good
there
point,
is
good
a little
okay.
bit of, like,
You're right.
a loophole there. That, yes, they're different, but they're not twins. They're the same
Right, maybe
girl.
they feel the same in the Force.
Right. Who knows?
Because they talk about, like, the midi-chlorians. They're like, they have, like, the same symbiont level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever. But, like, I was like, oh, mentioning the midi-chlorians, that's bold, because we gave Lucas a lot of shit about that.
I was waiting for the whole word. I don't think they ever said the whole... They said
no, they just say count. Yeah, same thing as Bad Batch, yeah.
They're embarrassed. They're like, we can't say the full word.
That switcheroo thing, that did annoy me when they swapped like that. For some reason, I didn't want that to happen. Or I was unsure if I would like where it went. I don't know. I guess it wasn't too bad.
It's also a very stereotypy thing to do with twins.
One of the things that the show made me think about, though, was that like that there were like a couple of like really like cool concepts they play around with, like the balancing act between guiding a child and influencing a child, you know, and like you want what's best for the kid, and you know, like they need to make decisions on their own, but you know, they need to be informed decisions, so you need to inform the kid, but you don't want to like tell the kid exactly what to do and force them into whatever you want. So yeah, how do you guide someone without influencing them too much? I thought like it again, like that Soul stuff. Like I felt like his character, like his death at the end, like I kind of bought into the emotion of that moment. Like, you know, and it was very like Harrison Ford died in The Force Awakens, where it's like oh, I'm sad for you, kid. Like I'm not mad for you, I'm sad.
Yeah. But also he kind of deserved that. Like, he did mess up their whole life and got their whole family killed.
That wasn't his intentions.
I know, but it was still
I
something
don't know
that
if you
happened.
deserve death for something you didn't do on purpose.
No, I'm not saying like he deserves death, but I think he understood like the anger. Like I think he was at peace with that.
All these Jedi were guilty AF.
Yeah.
The only one that wasn't guilty AF was Zendara. She was like, none of that was my fault. It was those other idiots.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get orders from the council. I feel no guilt. I'm just going to hang out in the bar.
Yeah. She did, like, when she recognized May when she came up, she's like, you. And then she kind of was a little bit... She did choose to save the barkeeper over herself, you know. She was like, well, it is kind of... Remember, because May was going to, like, stab the barkeep. She threw a dagger in her.
That was a good idea.
Yeah.
Like the bad guy forced throwing a knife at a civilian to distract a Jedi was a good idea. That was a clever idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. I'm trying to think if there were any more like those annoying plot conveniences. I feel like Yord being like, oh, I shouldn't have sent the prisoner back to Coruscant on a prison shuttle. I should have brought her in myself. But it's like he says that out loud. It's like, well, why didn't you?
And also them breaking in
But-
at the ceremony. Like, the Jedis forced their way into their little witch temple in the middle of their ceremony. I thought that was kind of, like, that's obviously, like, a plot-specific, you know, like, written-specific for the convenience. But, I mean, it just seems so dumb to me. Like, I can't understand Soul's perspective at all. Like, I really have a hard time empathizing with his decision because, in my mind, it's like those kids were at home there and were part of this family and doing all this ceremonial stuff, and they seemed content enough. And the mama was even, like, open to letting Osha choose to go, even though she really didn't want her to.
But he didn't know that till the end.
I know, but it just feels like a lot of assumptions on his part.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me to get behind, like, feeling like he did the right thing at all by intervening there.
But he thought these were, like, scary, evil witches. Like, they can't be trusted with kids. Who the hell knows what they're going to do with the Force? Like, from his perspective, and this is what I thought was kind of the cool, interesting idea, because it kind of... You see the Jedi get in trouble with the government, and the senator who is like, yeah, we need an entire review of the Jedi immediately. And, you know, I kind of liked that. And, like, he doesn't like that the Jedi are, you know, have, like, this monopoly, I guess, on the Force or whatever. And then, but you see, like, the Jedi kind of doing the same thing to, like, oh, yeah, like, we're freaked out by what you're doing over here. Like, we can't have anyone else teaching the Force except for us. Like, that was the Stranger's whole beef with the Jedi, which, to me, makes me think, like, he's not a Sith, he's a fake Sith. Because, like, the Sith are supposed to, like, hate the Jedi. And he was like, I just want to be able to, like, you know, train in the Force and be able to have a pupil and train her, too. And you Jedi want to ruin that for me. And it's, and I think a show written by a queer person, you know, it's probably something that was probably on their mind. But, you know, this idea of, like, okay, here's mainstream society, or you could even, like, look at the Jedi Order as a mainstream religion. You know, like, the Jedi Order is a religion, and it's like, and they come into my house and tell me, like, oh yeah, you two women can't be married and raise these kids. Like, you have to come take them.
That's exactly what it felt like.
But from Soul's perspective, he's like, okay, well, you can't just let everyone have nuclear warheads. And these witches over here, like, they're playing with refined uranium, trying to build a nuclear warhead, and that could be extremely dangerous and dangerous for these kids. That's his view on it. So I could see where both are coming from, and then the conflict between the two, which is like that's what I like. I like that's what all drama is. That's what all story is conflict, right? So, but yeah, the clash there. But yeah, it's I actually have a lot of respect for that story they wanted to tell. But I do think there were some issues. But like I was saying, just like little like plot convenience stuff here or there. But well, yeah, overall, like I don't know, if it had gotten a second season, I would have watched it. Like, I would have liked I guess more resolution. It helped going into this, like, knowing that, okay, the show might end with a sequel bait cliffhanger, hoping for a second season that never happens. Right. And then that's exactly what happened. Yeah, so yeah. I was braced for that, so that helped.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they could even pick it up another day. Like, who knows?
Wrap it up in, like, a book or a comic or something.
Or a movie.
Or no, they're not gonna do anything.
You could do a straight to Disney Plus movie.
That would be like, that would still be expensive. It would be cheaper to do a comic. You're just like, yeah, but I don't want to read a comic. Yeah, I'd rather watch a movie. It's not gonna be. I think it's extremely likely that it gets wrapped up in a comic, because that would be the cheapest way to do it. And they like to put out a lot of Star Wars comics. Because Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars both, and they're just like, Marvel, put out a lot of Star Wars comics. We need to, like, flood the market with as much of our shit as possible. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's good or not, just pump it out there. They've actually, like, reined back on some of that stuff lately, which they have fewer streaming shows now, also. But, yeah, if this had been, like, a few years ago, it would have already had, like, a comic book conclusion. But, In the live audience, for the people watching us live on YouTube, Joel is here. He says the Jedi are child kidnappers, and that's something that comes up in here, and it was something that like Taylor and I talked about. But like in general, like the Jedi, like they don't go around like abducting people's children. It's like you have to agree to let your kid go be raised
But
by
see,
them.
this is where we don't agree, because I feel like it's coercion and some shaming and some like promise of a future for your child manipulation that the Jedi use to take these children.
I mean, it might be some of that also, but like I don't feel like I don't know. I don't feel like we're meant to. I don't feel like we're meant to think that like, oh yeah, like the Jedi are all like bad actors because like they're like abducting children and stuff, like.
Well, I don't think they're acting. I think that they genuinely believe that. But
Right, I mean like bad actors as in like the sense of they take bad actions.
oh, sorry, I misunderstood. But I think sorry, Tux, you gotta stop. But where was I going with the Jedi kidnapping babies? I feel like it's so hard to put words into it, but I feel like if the kid itself like can't choose, it's like on the nose, because it's like, okay, they want to have the children before they basically have memories, because it's easier for them to not be attached to something and train them in the Force, right? That's, I think, the real goal. Is like they want to get the babies as soon as they can, the Force sensitive children, because it's like easier to train them because they're less likely to be attached to something or someone or a place, right? And then it's harder like once they're older, to train them, but also to teach them how to be unattached because they've been attached to something now. And then but I think at the same time that's wrong, because then you're not actually getting like from that individual child what they want, right? But if they're
like
older, like May and Osha,
you're
they
forcing
can
these
choose.
kids into like into a lifetime that they're not old enough to like know to consent to.
It's like if every redhead there was like a redhead alert. Like this redhead institution came. It was like, oh, your kid has red hair. Well, they're coming with me as soon as they're born. But it's like,
but they're not like, they don't like automatically get taken from the parent. Like the parent has to like agree to that.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is I feel like the parents are coerced and manipulated and told like these, oh, your kids will be this extravagant thing and get to be this whole like Jedi Knight thing, whatever. But then it's like, okay, well, how many of those kids actually survive and make it to become a Jedi
I assume
Knight?
most of them.
Yeah, and then they get killed in the
Survive.
Clone Wars. Like, they end up becoming soldiers. They're not actually like these disciples and like.
But the Clone Wars was like a really weird time for the Jedi, right? Like before that, they weren't supposed to be like soldiers at war. They were keepers of peace, not soldiers. Those are all lines that come up in the. So yeah, but I think that would be something that'd be interesting to talk about, like during the Clone Wars. Have like these like mothers be like, oh yeah, like our kids went off to be Jedi and we thought it would be like really good, and then they just ended up dying in the Clone Wars. But like that wasn't the norm,
Yeah, but it still did happen. But I think it's like it's that promise of a life, that really bothers me. This like. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess I would have to see, like, what's like a in canon, in universe example of the Jedi like making a promise to parents like that.
I mean, like even with Anakin, I feel like that happens where they're like, "Oh, Shri, like we're taking your kid to be in a better place, like because you can't, like, you know what I mean." Like
with that one, it's like, oh, that seems really obvious to send Anakin with them because it's like he's a slave. So
yeah,
like...
I know that, but I'm saying like it's still again like how do I explain this better? It's so hard to explain. Like it's still just like it's a promise for a better life for your kid, right? But also,
do they actually make that promise though? Do they like
I feel like it is. I feel like that is like the idea. Like it's not necessarily something they say, but it's like we'll bring him to Coruscant and train him as a Jedi, and like he'll get to be doing all this cool Jedi stuff. And
but then they go do that.
Yeah, but then he also commits genocide and like becomes Darth Vader. So
that was one kid.
I know.
Out of all of them.
But if they keep kidnapping all these kids, what do you think makes them so angry?
But I'm saying, like, I don't think they kidnapped any kids.
Oh, well, I guess technically they didn't kidnap him, but it feels like it to me sometimes.
No, we just, like I was saying, like, they don't give their kids away to anyone. I mean, they don't take anyone's kids unless, like, they have, like an agreement, like, from the parents that it's, like, okay, and, like, that the kids, like, want to do it.
Yeah.
But
I think it's, like, I think maybe I wish there were more rules, like, to be like, oh, there's visitation rights, and, oh, we could train them on your planet
and see,
for the
here's
first
the
5 years.
Here's the thing, though, is that, like, Lucas wanted to tell this story of, like, the Jedi have faltered in, like, the later years of the Republic before it collapses and turns into the Empire. The Jedi were making a lot of mistakes and doing a lot of things wrong. And so I think it's cool for the show to kind of explore some of, and, like, I don't know, maybe you could, like, factor some of that in there of, like, their the way that they recruit could also be a factor in it. But I can't remember where it was, but I was, like, reading somewhere that, like, one of the ways that the Jedi Order got a lot of money is because sometimes kids from, like, really wealthy families would join the Jedi Order, and so, like, that family would, like, donate a lot of money to the Jedi. That's part of, like, how they could it's one of the things I liked in this show is that they showed, like, the Jedi were still using multiple temples. They had multiple outposts throughout the galaxy, and we see one of those temples, but it's, like, kind of ran down, and it's like, oh yeah, you can tell they're getting close to just abandoning these temples.
They're kind of, like, phasing out.
Yeah. So that was kind of so that made me think, like, it was kind of an interesting time period to show stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was doing a lot of the things that the prequels did, but better.
Sure.
But still not for me. It's a Star Wars I'll watch again, though. Like, I'll probably, like, when I'm in a Star Wars mood and I want something Star Warsy playing in the background, this is a show I'll put on TV or something like that. It's not one that I'm ever dying to it's not like, Andor. It's like I'm gonna rewatch this show multiple times for the rest of my life. And it's like every couple of years I'm gonna need to rewatch it. But if they did make a book or comic or something to give some more finality to the story, I would read it.
I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be like, well, that's okay for it to end there for me.
I'll tell you what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, until that happens, my headcanon, okay, Darth Plagueis just kills both of them, and then, like, the other Jedi, like, don't really, they don't really figure out what was going on, and I don't know, May lives out the rest of her life not knowing all this stuff that got erased from her mind.
Yeah, that's very likely. I think it's also interesting, like, I think it could be cool to have either May and Osha, or one of them, lean into their witch power. Because we didn't see any of that from them, really. We just saw, like, their force sensitivity.
Yeah, it'd be cool to, like, see... Well, maybe May goes off and joins the Night Sisters or something. Like, maybe we see them... Maybe she teams up with some other witches or something. There were some... Like, you know how Mother Talzin, right? Darth Maul's mom in the Clone Wars... she can, I don't think she's, like, really his, like, he calls her mother and stuff. She could turn to, like, green smoke and teleport around. Mm-hmm. And here they do, like, black smoke to teleport around. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, they're similar, but they must be different types of witches, or it would have looked more I felt that was, like, the visual identifier there to let you know, like, if it was green, it would be the Night Sisters, but it's not green to let you know it. For those of y'all that are that deep into Star Wars, that you know about the Night Sisters and their green teleportation smoke.
Yeah, well, they did say they were, like, exiled from their original coven or whatever. So
yeah, so they could have been an offshoot.
Yeah, that it changed. I'd like to see more of that.
But yeah, I liked... That was something you told me at one point. You were like, oh, I hope the Acolyte has more mysticism to it. Like a... Because we knew it was, like, in a older time, I guess. Or I don't know, you knew something witchy about it from that you remembered from trailers or something.
I didn't see any trailers. But I was just hoping for it because I felt like the Acolyte feels very witchy to me.
You know, the only thing I didn't like about them was their chant. I thought their chant was lame. It should have been in like another language. But like when you're chanting the power of one, the power of two,
Yeah.
the power of many, it sounds very lame and just no, it's too mundane. It's too like relatable. You
They
know, it's
didn't
like
want to scare some
like
people.
yeah, it needed like some like creepy incantation, like some like some
Night Sister stuff.
yeah.
Because that stuff is really creepy good. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun and entertaining and scary. But yeah. I also was disappointed that we didn't get to see more of, like, the ancient Jedi temples. I was really hoping to get, like, you know, like on Lothal, they're, like, really, really old.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping to see something like that and not just the ones that were phasing out. But because I was looking for more than mysticism.
Do you want like a Indiana Jones type story in like the Jedi Temple of like them like going through like passageways and like the walls like open and close and stuff like that? We've done that in the animation a little bit. The live action, I guess I don't know. Kylo Ren goes to that Sith planet Exegol and
yeah, it would be so expensive with all those sets, but I think it would be really cool.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't really get in any temple or anything. He just like goes there and just like. The Emperor is just there. He's just like, yeah, I just sit here on a throne, and there's like cool stuff underground that you don't see. But yeah, we haven't gotten like that like Legends of the Jedi temples kind of thing, but in live action.
We should have Tales of the Temples, and it could just be all these like really, really, really old short stories of just exploring the temples. Maybe we could see like a really, really, really old Lothcat on Lothal with some really ancient Lothal Jedi of the time. And it's like, I don't know, just doing their thing there at their peak.
Lothal from Rebels, like the show that you and I really like, but I guess in a lot of the Star Wars fandom, it's considered one of the less popular ones. Oh. A lot of people are like, it pales in the face of Clone Wars.
Well, I disagree. But
I disagree too.
But yeah. I keep bringing up the Lothal Temple because that's my favorite one. It's so cool. Like, there's so many different... Because they get to go into it so many times. So you get to see different parts of it. You know, and it changes every time they go in, and it becomes a different... It's very mystical, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, so we get a little of that here, but not enough.
Yeah.
Oh, the other, like, weird plot convenience is, like, that how big that fire got.
Oh, yeah. Like, it just started in the
And then
film.
it exploded their power generator. But I guess that wasn't a temple. That used to be like a mine or something.
Yeah.
It was like some like abandoned industrial site. But yeah, it was still weird. But it's like, well, they needed that to happen. They needed the fire to be that big. So those plot conveniences made me think, okay, well, some of this writing isn't quite up to snuff. But overall, I still think the writing was better than the prequel movies. And then, like, the look at everything, I thought the production design was good. I did think some of it was kind of directed weird. Just, like, some of, like, the physical blocking in some of the scenes. But then it was like, but I thought the prequel trilogy also had, like, a lot of, like, weird direction. I would say, like, the directors who worked on this show did a better job than George Lucas directing the prequel trilogy. So,
yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I'm running out of ways to say, like, well, it's like very prequel-y, but better than the prequels. But
yeah, but still not my alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, though, I guess we have more prequel stuff coming up soon. I don't know if you have any more thoughts on the Acolyte.
No, we can talk about what's coming next.
Sure. So if people check out our spreadsheet, I need to start putting links to it in the description in the TEX-TREK Discord server. So I'll be sure to have links on some places where people can look at our spreadsheet. But we have the 8 episodes of The Acolyte are checked off of the spreadsheet. We have seen those. So up next, the next things we're talking about is actually Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Underworld, and then the Phantom Menace. So we're moving forward in our timeline. We've covered some stuff from 148 BBY and 132 BBY. So we're only 132 years away from the Battle of Yavin. But now we're about to move forward to between the years 68 and 32 BBY. So gonna have some young Count Dooku, some young Mace Windu, some young Qui-Gon Jinn, and baby Ahsoka, and young Cad Bane to talk about. And then also the Phantom Menace and Jar Jar Binks and Anakin Skywalker and Queen Amidala and all of that.
Every time you say Jar Jar Binks, I forget that he's a character, and then I'm reminded, and then I shut it out, and then I remember again.
You gotta get that was 27 years ago. Like you gotta get over it at some point. We've lived most of our lives in a Jar Jar world, so he's here to stay.
I'm not here to hate. I'm just here to be like, oh man, it gets stuck in my head. I think is the big problem, the way he talks, and then I'm like in my head like Misa, blah blah blah.
I'm glad I don't have to hear it.
That's very difficult to live with for a few days before I forget again.
So what's next, Taylor?
The Tales of the Jedi.
Which episodes?
Oh, we're gonna list them all.
Yeah.
Justice, choices.
No. I was gonna say the we're gonna talk about the because we're going chronological. We're gonna do the second and third Tales of the Jedi. They're going to do Tales of the Underworld episodes 4, 5, and 6, and they're gonna go back to Tales of the Jedi episode 1. It's the baby Ahsoka one, and then the Phantom Menace. So that's the order we're going in, and then we'll be in the Clone Wars shortly after that, starting with Attack of the Clones. So. Next up is the pre-Clone Wars, and then that'll be followed by actual Clone Wars. And we're gonna spend we're gonna be in Clone Wars until like April. So,
it's a lot.
So get used to Clone Wars. But yeah, one more show of pre-Clone Wars content before that. But yeah, we are done with the old High Republic. So you can say goodbye to the brown and gold robes, which I thought were kind of cool. I liked that. It kind of looked like, oh yeah, this is kind of a, I don't know, nicer time period. The Jedi Temple's a bit fancier. But we're gonna do the pre-Clone Wars next. So we'll see y'all then. But we'll go ahead and call it a show. And until next time, wait, hold up. There we go. And until next time, remember, the Empire is for bootlickers. Be a rebel, and may the Force be with you. Say bye, Taylor.
Oh, bye. You're doing such a good job.